Again, I'm John. I'm back. And just for a little information about my own background, I have spent most of my career in international schools. I began teaching in a foreign country called California in the 1960s. And this might be pertinent to the present topic, particularly Veronica's end of it, the law. My teaching experience was at a middle school in Chino, California. Does anybody know Chino? Do you know Elmore Leonard? Crime novelist, author of Get Shorty, which was also a movie. That was based in Chino. I think it begins with George Clooney crawling out of a tunnel that was dug out of one of the 4 correctional institutions in the boundaries of Chino. So that was my start. And from there I went to be a teacher and administrator at the Escuela Americana in El Salvador, Lincoln School in Kathmandu, the International School of Beijing, Robert College in Istanbul, the International School of Amsterdam, the American International School of Lusaka, Zambia, and Vientiane International School in Laos. In most of those positions, I did have a role in recruitment. And since 2006, I've worked for Search Associates, which of course our major role is in recruitment, and I've been assisting in that. So that's my background as far as my experience in recruitment. What struck me, and at this point I want to thank Jane and everyone who's been working on the task force. It has a long acronym, but I've gotten used to just calling it the task force, which has 3 committees, one of which is on recruitment. As they've helped me get access to better knowledge and resources about recruitment, specifically on the child protection issue, just one general point I'd like to make, that at least in this area, there are some very special advantages to the focus on recruitment, and they're quite different than what we all thought they would be when we started working on this almost a year ago, when the task force was formed, as Jane said, in response to the crises and the terrible incidents that occurred at that time. I think one of the first things everybody thinks about, still probably many people, and we also did, was, well, the first thing is we got to get those recruitment agencies jacked up to do the criminal background checks. And then, never said this way, but there was an assumption, and that'll pretty much take care of that. Wrong. It's way broader than that. There are many far equally important, and that's a key word. It's all important, but it's much, much bigger than that. And that's Jane and the task force and Dennis and Lois, when I visited them at their school in Accra, and many other people that I've consulted over the last few months have just made that more and more obvious to me, someone who's worked in recruitment most of his life. Well, what are some of those advantages? One advantage to recruitment, a focus on recruitment, is not so much specifically the criminal background check, but it's the whole idea of that's out there before you have any possible problem. That is, the focus for recruitment is always on who might come into your school and making decisions about that, as opposed to what I really think in many ways is a far more problematic area, which is when you think you might have a problem inside the school, then what do you do? And to be honest, the threshold for decision making is easier for recruitment than the kinds of decisions you have to make once a person is inside the school. So I think that's the reason why recruitment, or it is one additional reason that I didn't appreciate so much before. That's why recruitment is important. You've got that advantage. There's another advantage that I didn't realize, and that is recruitment has a huge multiplier effect. By that I mean whatever good stuff you do for recruitment that strengthens child protection, in many, many cases, it's the same stuff that you should be doing to get better and better and better at recruiting the best possible teachers. And there's the link to what I said in our introduction. If you stood up for those 3 items, are you either now recruiting or have been, or would you like to in the future, and would you like your methods to be the most effective? We'll go into this in more detail in my particular workshop. But most of what can be done to improve child protection, just by doing that, you will also improve probably the quality of the general results you get in terms of getting better teachers. So with that, I would like to encourage everybody to be thinking about what are the specific things that we know we could do better? I mean, there are things, I think, in one of Jane's latest messages, there are things that we could be doing next week, in the next 3 months, that we just know it's just good recruitment, and it will help strengthen child protection. And we can do that before any formal body tells us you should be doing that. One thing I'm referring to, of course, is we're not really convinced that a high enough percentage, which would be 100%, of schools check references. That's, in my view, a big problem because it could quickly be corrected. So that's just one example. But there's a larger reason why that doesn't happen, and that's what I think I would like to entertain, that we have to step back and look at the whole recruitment process and get a little more careful about, look, are we really willing to take these risks? And by risks, I mean going to a job fair or just doing it online, because it's a very competitive environment. Part of the problem is the number of vacancies for qualified English medium teachers is growing at a faster rate than the number of qualified English medium teachers who want to work outside their home country. That puts pressure, particularly on schools, to beat out the competition. From the candidate point of view, it's a very uncomfortable process, whether, again, you're at a fair or online. As educators, we're really not very used to that environment. You know, we don't work in for-profit businesses that are highly competitive. There are a lot of other values that we put a little higher when we go inside a school. So we're uncomfortable with that. We want to get that over with and, you know, get to the best possible school, but get it over with. So I'm on both parties' part, and the recruitment agency is very much facilitating this. We probably make decisions way too quickly in some cases on not enough evidence. And that's the evidence that would lead you to better decisions regarding child protection and all other aspects of teacher quality.